I know what you're thinking.
You said it's in the works. What the hell took you so long?
And to that I say, listen, it takes a lot more than you think. Now on to the recap. Previously, we discussed the foundation of toilet found being Japanese folklore as well as the shores. Yokai are supernaturals and yurei are ghosts. These are the center of the far shore. Now, if we're talking about the near shore, we have the humans with high spiritual power and the ones with low spiritual power. Yin and yang, right? This balance has to be maintained. This is where the leader steps in. Imagine being so unk that a 4'11", 13-year-old boy gets picked as the boss. Okay, anyway, Hanako, the seventh mystery, is the leader of the school wonders. If we follow the logical order, then we think that the clock keepers are the leaders, right? And it would just make sense since they control time. I mean, what else could possibly be more powerful than being able to control time? Maybe someone like a god? Hanako is implied to be a god. Well, Hakujodais are servants of God. Hanako has two of them. He mentions a god, meaning there's someone higher than him. If he's not a god, then he's the closest thing to him. Excuse me, I don't really want to mention the canons say on this, but God is the highest in the picture. And it seems like he appointed Hanako to be Hanako. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Hanako to be Hanako? It seems like...
He's employed.
This ought to be really confusing, so we will refer to Hanako as Amane. Think of Hanako-san as a synonym to a manager, better yet, a president. We know that pilot Amane is the third generation Hanako. The manga included panels of the first and the second generation Hanako. No supernatural at the school has been able to carry out the role of Hanako-san to satisfaction. Both the first and second Hanako-sans became overly involved with humans and wound up breaking the rules countless times as a result. Oh, that end, if I take on the name and duties of Hanako-san, school mystery number 7, my sins will be forgiven. We can safely say that Hanako is a job, and the apparition to execute its duties is appointed by God. Now let's go back to calling him Hanako. Hanako's dilly-dallying aside, his job is to grant wishes and maintain the gap between supernaturals and humans. It isn't specified how many he can grant, but it's safe to assume that there's only one per person. Yashiro's wish was to see supernaturals. She was given Fox Window, her eye to seeing supernaturals. Her second wish, to unsee them. Hanako grants this, and he gets a mark? That must have meant he did something wrong. Hence why he can probably only grant one wish. Granting another would get him marked. And by the looks of his wrist, this is his 7th time. Funny how Yashiro is his 7th sin. You defy the rules at your peril, for you receive a mark each time, and should you accumulate too many, I go to hell. It isn't specified how many lines he needs to cross, pun intended, in order to be fired and go to hell. But since Toilet Bound has a thing for numbers, 3rd floor, 3rd stall, 3 knocks, 7 marks for the 7th mystery, 3rd generation Hanako. Yeah, you know what I mean. Since he made it past his 3rd and 4th sin, which could also be possible since 4 sounds like death in Japanese, and 3 just, well, it's a special one. His last mark must have been his 7th. Other than the number 7, 13 can also be considered since it is an unlucky number. But Too far, right? And 13 in the pilot hasn't been mentioned as a relevant number. It's just too far. 7 marks the spot. The current toilet bound. Well, one thing we know for sure is that it's pretty difficult to wrap your brain around it. And by difficult, I mean migraine-causing type of difficult. Just thinking about all that time shenanigans is a whole mind workout. But what if I tell you, toilet bound is pretty dark. But what if it could have been darker? Think about it. We were shown how Hanako could have met his death by a stab wound. And it showed us the unseen side to Hanako. He's always been the sarcastic type. But have we ever questioned his behavior? In the canon manga, it's pretty evident in his past that he's mentally unstable. The suicidal type, if you will. Let's assume his past was accurate with the canon manga. The marks. Well, there's more to it than we think. This 13-year-old boy carries a knife around. When a spirit carries a weapon, that means when they were alive, they used it to take someone's life. The marks appear on his wrists, which can be an implication of self-harm. A suicidal 13-year-old boy who killed someone before he died. How do you think he feels about looking at his wrist, bloodied with marks? When we take a closer look at how Hanako says that he might go to hell, it seems lightweight for him, as if it's an ordinary thing to hear. Take a look at this. That's not a usual expression a 13-year-old would display when they say they don't want to go to hell. Obviously, there's much depth. This hints to his tragic past, masked by his playfulness. Something that no one seems to notice. No one except one certain human. Yashiro, like the heroine she is, breaks through his shell and discovers the little boy living inside of him. The boy who could have lived, the boy with no future. On multiple occasions, he has shown vulnerability around Ko and Yashiro. But again, his true self is masked by his reputation as an evil spirit. One can overlook the fact that he could be genuine. But of course, who would expect that from an evil spirit? By the law of nature, you'd have your guard up. Only someone with survival instincts of a frog is capable of fully trusting one. And again, Yashiro Nene is our protagonist. In the beginning, she wanted her ex-boyfriend to die, but she was quick to take it back due to her kind nature. Only she can empathize with Hanako. She understands. How do you think she'd react if she discovers the consequences of her actions, the consequences of her selfishness? How do you think a boy with nothing to lose will react once he finds out that someone cares? This creates a dilemma of Yashiro picking between herself and Hanako. Not only that, but the concept of having someone to talk to is something that Hanako believed he'd never have. That genuine connection, the bond that keeps you together, something that makes life worth living. But again, he's a lifeless boy. Think about dying tragically. Hanako relives his sin, reminded of the crime he committed. And the worst part? He can never escape his trauma. His sin haunts him until now. Of course, he's used to it. But we forget that no 13-year-old boy should have to experience this type of burden and pain. But hey, that's what I think. What do you think? We still have a lot to discuss and, quite frankly, it takes a lot of work, research, and editing. And it takes a lot of courage to point out something that other people haven't or just don't talk about enough. But we are pretty dedicated to solving these mysteries. And of course, we are open to discussion. Check out our TikTok. As we're hard at work with these episodes, we fill the gap with mini theories and analysis, also about toilet bound. And that concludes the
Wow, 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 wow.